Over to Manchester City, an independent panel has determined the APT rules are unenforceable. Another big win for Man City in these legal proceedings. It seems unbelievable that they keep coming away with some wins.
Yeah, no, look, it certainly was, and it's opened up again a bigger can of worms. The clock keeps ticking on these lawyers. The Man City KC apparently charges £10,000 an hour. Nice work if you can get it, and of course he's making more and more work for himself by winning. So on it goes. It's really raising a lot of questions right now in the media and in Premier League circles about the ability of the Premier League to govern itself and the rule book that we've got. And a lot of questions being asked about not only Richard Masters, but in particular about the chairwoman, Alison Britton, who has been anonymous. And as I've said before, I really think she's the one that has to hang her head in shame the way that things have developed. It really is up to a chairperson to handle these sort of issues and make sure that the company they're chairing is heading in the right direction. There's been a lot compared, and I've spoken about this myself, back to the Richard Scudamore days. And everybody's starting to believe, I think, in the point I've been making, is that it's time for the Premier League to do a lot more negotiation, a lot more behind the scenes work, lobbying, etc., and stop these things coming up to a legal situation. It's got to be done behind the scenes, and deals have got to be struck behind closed doors. That's what Scudamore was great at. And I think that's where people are saying that Masters and Britain aren't quite up to the mark in terms of doing that. And I think, we're seeing now, we're probably going to get into something like 60, 70 million pounds of legal fees for the Premier League, which is an astronomical fee. And that's money that could be going to the clubs and back into the game. So it's wrong. And we've got to find a way to stop these things happening. Now, also, this win for City opens up a whole can of worms, whether it will be imposed retrospectively in terms of owner loans and interests to be paid. It's got all sorts of ramifications. So once again, we're going to have to keep on going. It's getting more and more complex by the week as we go forward, and we still haven't even heard about the 115 charges.
And could Man City actually be in line for significant compensation on the back of this ruling?
Yes, they could. There's potentially compensation claims, I think, from Newcastle and from City. This is because they were stopped from taking a bigger amount of sponsorship money from some of their potential clients. So they would have compensation claims there if they can prove that. I think Newcastle might have done that with Seller. And also, City have got a couple. I think one of the banks that they were talking to potentially could have offered them more, and they had to cut it back down. So that there's all that there as well. Also, I'd like to look and see if Everton could actually have some sort of claim, because the rule book that Everton lost their points on is now sort of being claimed to be null and void. So it's an unending situation. And so there may well be compensation claims coming out. But hopefully, as I'm saying, I'm trying to get away from that and get back to these sort of things being hammered out, negotiated properly. And City are certainly building up some leverage around the 115 charges. And so maybe that's been all their plan all along.
And do these victories in the APT rules cases have any effect on how much you think they may win or lose in the 115 charges cases? I know they're completely separate, but just the fact that their general counsel and whatever seem to be continuously winning, is that a good sign for them?
Well, if I'm correct in my thoughts that there's going to be some leverage from these points on the Premier League, and then the Premier League makes a shift in the way it's handling things to try and negotiate things behind the scenes, then yes, there's no doubt there would be some leverage that City would have, and it would help them in any discussion about trying to settle things out of court. So, as I say, that could have been their strategy all along. If it is, that they've certainly got the cards that they didn't expect. So, good luck to them.
And Etihad looks set to launch a local IPO. Is this a indication that the company is confident about Man City's 115 charges case?
I don't think the two will be connected, to be honest, in any way. I think it's going to just be the IPO won't have taken that into account. I don't think so. So I don't think the two are really that well connected.